rises, every day the sun rises. All I know is, can't turn back, can't turn back now. Can't turn back, can't turn back now. Can't go back, can't go back, can't turn back, can't turn back now. I live on a tightrope, never wanted to leave something. Always trying to figure out love. I'm not the inventor. Got a lifetime of surprises. What I realize is every day the sun rises. Can't turn back, can't turn back now. Can't turn back, can't turn back now. Can't go back, can't go back. Can't turn back, can't turn back So Trump is saying that I guess Hungary might be the place that they host the meeting. I'm not sure. It's looking like they're saying Hungary, Hungary might be the place. Right now there is a was a meeting, big meeting with India and Moscow. I gotta try to find the best one for us to listen to and or watch.
Весьма доволен результатами заседания межправительственной комиссии. Обсуждались проекты совместного нашего взаимодействия в самых разных сферах.
We gotta find the one that's broken down for us to listen to, because
Europe. Thank you. And the second question for the distinguished Minister Shankar. The White House advisor for trade and economy, Peter Navarro, recently said that India is supposed to behave differently and that India's purchases of Russian oil are financing the conflict in Ukraine. In your view, what is Washington trying to achieve through such statements? Is this pressure an attempt to weaken the relations between our countries, or is the United States trying to force India to sign a more favorable trade agreement with the United States? Thank you.
Well, I don't want to comment on a person, but let me comment on the subject. We are not the biggest purchasers of Russian oil, that is China. We are not the biggest purchasers of Russian LNG. I'm not sure, but I think that is the European Union. We are not said for the last few years that we should do everything to stabilize the world energy markets, including buying oil from Russia. Incidentally, we also buy oil from America, and that amount has been increasing.
So is there a play here on trade deals? Like, is this what this more so about? Trade deals and data? Because everybody is trying to come out, set the record straight regarding, certain variations of things when it comes to what was spoke about.
Join you, delegations from both countries, for the 26th session of the India-Russia Intergovernmental Commission for Trade, Economic, Scientific, Technological, and Cultural.
This is more so about trade than anything, right? All of this seems more so about trade than anything. Let's take a listen.
Meeting here after about 10 months since the last session in November 2024 in New Delhi. And I think this is perhaps the shortest intervals between two sessions that we've ever had. Over the last 4 years, Excellency, our bilateral trade in goods has increased, as you have noted, from more fivefold, from $13 billion in 2021 to $68 billion in 24-25, and it continues to grow. However, a major trade balance has accompanied the growth. It has increased from 6.6 billion to 58.9 billion, which is about 9 times. So we need to address that urgently.
It's only glitching because it's
Today,
it's not like that.
Lay out some of the salient features of the agenda before us, addressing tariff and non-tariff trade barriers, removing bottlenecks in logistics, promoting connectivity to the international North-South transport corridor, the Northern Sea Route, and the Chennai-Vladivostok corridor, affecting payment mechanisms smoothly, timely finalization and execution of the program of economic cooperation till 2030, the early conclusion of the Eurasian Economic Union FTA, whose terms of reference were finalized today, and regular interaction between the businesses of the two countries. These are among the key elements. They will not only help to address the imbalance and grow our trade, but also hasten the timely achievement of our revised trade target of $100 billion by 2030. Colleagues, we are all acutely aware that we are meeting in the backdrop of a complex geopolitical situation. Our leaders remain regularly engaged. They provide us wise and practical guidance to our special and privileged strategic partnership. We've had 2 in-person meetings last year and are personally committed to further advancing our strategic partnership. Today, as we meet here for the IRIGC-TEC, allow me to make some suggestions on how we can improve our efficiency and rise to the occasion.
Hey, y'all share that live and copy that link. Share the live and copy the link.
Various working groups and subgroups could perhaps take a more creative and innovative approach towards their respective agendas. The challenges posed by the larger landscape that I mentioned require us to do so. And this should be done in a manner in which it works for both sides. So when we speak today, as you did, Excellency, of the smoothness of settlements, of better logistics, of diversifying our trade basket, of creating more joint ventures, of moving on skilling and mobility, these are some of the areas, some examples of what we need to focus on more effectively. Second, we should continuously diversify and expand our agenda through mutual consultation. It should help to tap into the full potential of our trade and investment ties. We should not get stuck on the beaten track. Doing more and doing differently should be our mantras. Third, I would urge that we set ourselves some quantifiable targets and specific timelines so that we challenge ourselves to achieve more, perhaps even surpass what we set out to do. Each working group and each subgroup could apply itself to setting of targets and see what we could achieve at the next session of the IRIGC-TEC. For example, if you are looking at trade barriers, could we pick a certain number and make a commitment? If we have agreed to a certain proposal, can we set a firm timeline for that? So I believe that each working group and subgroup should include at least one possible target and pursue it with full tenacity. So I would suggest for your consideration that we should have at least 2 intersessional meetings between the IRIGC sessions. We could also do a virtual midterm review with all the co-chairs like we did in 23. It will certainly help us to take corrective measures and come up with adjustments which are required. To make that happen, I think it would also be useful if we each one designate a clearinghouse for the IRIGC-TEC on both sides, who will remain in touch. Finally, we will be
hear it?
this meeting going on to a business session, and I would suggest for your consideration that we could have a coordination mechanism between the business forum and the different working groups of the IRIGC, so that there is a two-way flow between people in the business world and people in the policy world. We would like the IRIGC to become even more result-oriented, relevant, and readily available to the business communities of the two sides. So allow me to conclude by recalling that the IRIGC is a key mechanism.
Now, a lot of y'all might say, what does this have to do with anything? What does this have to do with America? What does this have to do with this? What does this have to do with that? We will get into that. We will explain that. Okay, so PowerPoint's in play. Now, Minister of India and Russia partnerships, this could mean for us basically saying that the tariffs, the logics of it is not very much explained, of this, U.S. tariffs that's going on, so on and so forth, right? A lot of people are actually, pulling out of this tariff idea. They're looking to opt out. It's complicated, so on and so forth, right? Now, minister is described as a special privilege strategy partnership. Remember, the things that they are actually using is the business part of all of this. Everybody is manipulating the business side. Our problem is trade. Our problem is trade. If there's a secret battle, it's a secret battle in trades, right? Data, they might say data. We're in the age of information, right? They're saying that, look, we're not the biggest buyer of Russia oil, so if you was going to sanction the biggest buyer of Russia oil, you would have to sanction China, so on and so forth, right? Opening up these doors, this is not a good look. Like we said yesterday, India is going to be mad about this. We said that yesterday. We spoke on this yesterday, and everybody kind of like laughed and said we didn't know what we were talking about. If I recall, if you guys remember yesterday when we spoke on this, a lot of people said we didn't know what we were talking about when we said India is not too, not sitting well with this, so on and so forth, right? One thing that we want you guys to remember is 9 times out of 10, you follow the money. You follow the money trail, okay? You follow the money trail. So, in all of this and all the things that's happening, we want you to understand that the money trail is where a lot of this is at. Okay? So, for the U.S., defense industry will go up. Our weapons manufacturing, Lockheed, Ray, Northrop, all of these things will go up. Massive benefits in war equipment, right? Because of the defense system that we provide, right? So the idea of this would be to sell peace. You would have to make peace so it's a defense system that you would be selling, right? The defense of all this is what the U.S. would be selling, right? Now, of course, this benefits as trade because we are using our defense as a form of trade, right? Defense deals, so on and so forth. And then that's not even including the protection that you would have to put around certain refineries, the airspace that you would have to maintain, the training that you would have to give, so on and so forth, right? So there's a lot of things that comes with this. For the U.S. alliances, this strengthens our alliances with NATO, developing good rapport with different places, and possibly having a good outlook with Russia could strengthen, Trump's ability to negotiate in other places, right? Such as Africa, Asia, and open up the doors possibly for a sit down with not only China, but Kim Jong-un. Who knows what doors this peace could open up for America being the center point of this, Trump leading the way, right? Many countries in Africa, Asia, and Latin America see the war in Western versus Russia/China struggling peace could give U.S. room to re-engage them on food, security, climate, and trades, right? So this is a big deal all around the board because it could re-strengthen our picture, our image as America, right? Now, if you have certain situations like Trump, not Putin, who we know already wants to undermine Putin wants to undermine, the democracy of America. So of course, he would taunt, the Ukrainian army by, waving our flag as if to say America sides with Putin or, Russia won, over America or whatever. But good relations all around the board. And also, if Trump can get this done, right, this situation with Ukraine, it opens up the door for the Iran, conversation to be finished, right? So this is a win on a lot of different talking points for America, right? Now, the Ukraine does not win in this, right? Because they might have to give up some land, so on and so forth. Yes, they gain certain securities from NATO and Europe, but the Ukraine doesn't win in this because at the end of the day, the Ukrainian president could possibly be uplifted out that seat. If they go into a peace agreement with Russia, that stops the war over there, thus far allowing for election to take place, thus far allowing for them to get him out of there and put a seat or put some figurehead there that is more compromising to whatever it is that's going on, right? Now, this is speculation talk over, so a lot of this stuff is just variations of talking points. But if they can get Zukinski out of there and get somebody that's more agreeable, sway the election. And a lot of these talks always go to elections, right? You hear them always have that question in there about elections, right? This is espionage type stuff. This is interfering with other people's, and in a way, a lot of countries do this already. You just don't know they're doing it. This is why they're so afraid of TikTok and what can be influenced through that, right? Because all these different forms of social media could be used as a way to influence the people, right? And because everyone is moving towards a more method of like streamers and so on, right? We are all in a streamer university type of universe right now. So get to know streaming, get to understand how this works, right? If you don't know somebody, get to know somebody, right? We have a social media management company. We run a social media management company over here at Atlas Network. So if you're not fluent with, how, social media works and how everything works, then, we provide classes and stuff like that. Please, you're welcome to ask questions, so on and so forth. We have a Discord. We will start up classes on how to maneuver around different platforms, TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, so on and so forth. And we will put classes together to help people maneuver around these spaces to give idea of it, right? Big picture is the U.S., Ukraine remains solvent, NATO expands, Russia weakens, America refocuses on China, right? Middle East, frozen conflict, uneasy peace, U.S. Creditable mix, NATO remains worried, right? Worst case scenario, Russia keeps land, U.S. looks weak, China emboldened, domestic backlash over Western billions, so on and so forth, right? In short, peace means few. Really, peace is based on the eyes of the beholder on what their idea of peace is, right? Really, that's what it's based upon. What someone else's idea of peace is, because we can't issue peace unless people are in agreement, right? And a lot of this is about staying in that seat. A lot of people want to stay in that seat, right? You might ask, what does this do for Russia? What does this do for Russia? Let's take a look at that. Okay, so for Vladimir Putin, peace is not a simple end, right? His hostility or his level of hostility is unmatched, according to what some say, right? It deeply, depending on the politics of things, Russia looks to win out. They have a lot of different things that they are angry about. We're not saying who has the right to be angry here, but a lot of people are angry, right? So there's a lot of things that people are angry about, upset about, mad about, so on and so forth, right? All right, so politically, peace means securing Ukraine. What the hell? What the hell? What just happened? I didn't verbally ask you to do anything. And don't be going to different documents and shit. AI. Alright? You stay on the documents I asked you to stay on, okay? And I asked you to move to nothing different. Alright? So, really, peace means securing Ukraine's fully independent within international recognition borders. 1991 lines included Crimea. Anything less risks being seen domestically as what are you doing, brother? Just doing breakdowns of, what's going on in the world and how everything is, and, how it can favor, this side versus that side. Giving a full analyst on, the Ukraine war and how it affects different people in this and why this is such a big deal. because if it doesn't, close out in peace, it could possibly lead to a World War III. And we already know that according to Allison Crawley and different measures of the Baphomet, they said that they can force the world into a one world order within 3 world wars. So if we move to a World War III, this would be moving into the idea prediction of what they said in the Baphomet, which is by the 3rd World War, we will be forced into a one world order. Does that make sense to you guys now? Ones in the chat if that makes sense. Ones in the chat if that makes sense. So Zukinski approved surge after 2022 invasion, reaching 70 to 90 support, but by mid-2024, fatigues, corruption, scandals, and military losses eroded trust. Polls show majority rejected territorial concerns. So if peace meant... You know what? AI does a better job at reading this, and AI can read this whole thing to us. Easy. So let's utilize and implement AI in all of this.
For President Volodymyr Zelensky, peace is not a simple end to hostilities, it is deeply political, shaped by Ukraine's sovereignty, territorial integrity, and international standing. Politically, peace means securing Ukraine's full independence within its internationally recognized borders, 1991 lines, including Crimea. Anything less risks being seen domestically as capitulation. It also means guaranteed security arrangements, whether through NATO membership.
You think it's that easy?
Defense pacts,
Nelly?
international commitments so that any ceasefire does not simply allow Russia to regroup and attack later. Equally,
okay, yeah, that voice is not gonna work. It's not gonna work like that. It's not gonna work like that. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work like that. But to say the least, a lot of things is happening. Political impact, things will change politically, economically, things will change. There's a lot of things that could possibly impact, so economically things will change, politically things will change. You can see these different breakdowns, and shout out to the Atlas family for always providing different variations of knowledge and information on this. Sometimes I feel like Charlie, and I got a bunch of angels, working around me. So sometimes I just feel like Charlie and, the Atlas family is my angels, and they do a great job at bringing me different variations of knowledge pertaining to the topic and everything like that. I mean, in real time. Sometimes they don't even know what the topic is until I press the live button, and then they'll just, why it keep going to this? Why? What is this? Why you keep opening up new pages? Is it voice command? Like, why is you doing this? Just stop. So, sanctions, so on and so forth, different things. So it's a lot of things are actually affecting, sanctions and stuff like that is affecting Russia, different things like that. Trades are being affected greatly, so on and so forth. If we don't keep track of this, as a collective, right, we need to be more in tune with what's going on in our world, right? We need to be more in tune. Why certain people don't push towards peace, right? Why peace don't benefit everybody, right? These are, gods and generals, if you would say, right? A lot of times when you're looking at this, that's just it, man. Who think the secret? Great job, hater. So the way this is working right now, different things is happening in the world. If you go into conspiracy theorists, then you can say this is something that has to do with the Aquarius sky, the operation of it, right? The Galactic Federation of Light. you can say that this might have something to do with the 3I Atlas comet headed this way, so on and so forth. So who knows what is really the secret behind them wanting to be in a idea of peace. uh, this could undermine something. This could be changing something. They tell you that these different things that move into our atmosphere could be affecting our vessels differently. We heard on numerous occasions, they mock and joke. Well, I don't know if it's a joke, but they say, why wouldn't Trump push towards peace? He wants to get into heaven, so on and so forth, right? Right, we are the original intelligence, so it's not. Never mind. We learn as we go. We are ever growing. We are ever learning. We are ever progressing, and let's try not to be of the carnal mind. I know it's a lot of people that just want to throw insults out there. We appreciate it if you keep the insults to yourself. We don't need them over here. We got enough negative in the world already. So any insults that you might have, you can keep them in your pocket for a platform that actually applies or applauds insults, okay? So we are forever learning, and that's what we will forever be over here, forever be in a learning expectation or thriving to learn, trying to learn. And you want to do better, you'll do better. That's simple. Trump seems to want to do better. We are for right being right and wrong being wrong, and to keep on thinking that we can keep on conflicting or being in a mindset of conflict and think that we're going to see peace. I think we all need to take or reach down inside of ourselves, grab whatever it is that we hold to, and be right within that, and then peace will find us along the way. If you're a fucked up individual, continue to be a fucked up individual, right? And hopefully peace will find you in your fucked upness. You know what I mean? But try not to go around and try to paint that image on other people. Just stay content with your fucked upness. Favorable peace, Putin claims victory, consolidates power, and this is what this is a lot. This is what this is a lot about. It's about these power plants, these different points of power, the location of what they are actually showing us is showing us that, right? It's showing us these different points. If we can get this map up for a second. Hold on. Is it under my For You?
Jenner said Naif leads the effort, though he's confident.
Not that. I didn't want that. I didn't say that. I didn't go to that. I didn't go that. I didn't pick that. You picked it.
Pandemic, of conflicts, of political and economic shifts, of new technologies, and also of trade. Not the biggest purchasers of Russian oil, that is China. We are not the biggest purchasers of Russian LNG. I'm not sure, but I think that is the European Union. We are not the country which has the biggest trade surge with Russia after 2022. I think there are some countries to the south. We are a country where actually the Americans said for the last few years that we should do everything to stabilize the world energy market.
I'm telling y'all, it's about money. It's always been about money. Follow that money.
We oil from America, and that amount has been increasing. So, quite honestly, we are very perplexed at the logic of the argument that you had referred to. Good afternoon. Let me begin by saying that it is a pleasure to be back in Moscow. Thank you, Minister Lavrov, for your warm hospitality and the substantive discussions that we have just concluded. Our meeting allowed a comprehensive review of the entire gamut of India-Russia bilateral relations. We believe that the relations between India and Russia have been among the steadiest of the major relationships in the world after the Second World War. Geopolitical convergence, leadership contacts, and popular sentiment remain its key drivers. On trade and economic cooperation,
We need
I followed up with
peace.
Minister Lavrov.
We
The
need
proceedings
peace.
of
Stop worrying
yesterday's
about
meeting of the
money and worrying about
Commission
peace.
that I chaired with First Deputy Prime Minister Denis Manturo.
That's what we want.
We reaffirmed
We the
our
people.
shared ambition to expand bilateral trade in a balanced and
Don't lie to
sustainable
us.
manner,
Don't give us the illusion of
including
peace.
increasing India's exports to
We don't
Russia.
want the illusion of peace.
This requires swiftly addressing non-tariff barriers and regulatory impediments, enhancing Indian exports to Russia and sectors like pharmaceuticals, agriculture, and textiles will certainly help to correct the current imbalance. Steps to ensure long-term supply of fertilizers was also taken up. Indian skilled workers, especially in IT, construction, and engineering, can address the labor needs in Russia and deepen collaboration. Sustaining energy cooperation through trade and investments is also important. We also spoke about connectivity initiatives, including the International North-South Transport Corridor, the Chennai-Vladivostok Eastern Maritime Corridor, and cooperation in the Northern Sea Route. These corridors promise to deepen economic linkages, reduce transit times, and expand trade access between across Eurasia and beyond. Our defense and military technical cooperation also remains robust. Russia supports India's Make in India goals, including joint production and technology transfer. The opening of two new Indian consulates in Kazan and Yekaterinburg need to be fast-tracked. That was also a subject of our conversation today. These consulates will further deepen our regional outreach and enhance trade and people-to-people ties. I took up the issue of Indians serving in the Russian army. While many have been released, there are still some pending cases with some missing persons. We hope that the Russian side would expeditiously resolve these matters. On global and multilateral cooperation, we reaffirmed our shared commitment to reform of global governance. We underlined the imperative to expand and energize the UN Security Council to reflect contemporary realities. Our collaboration in the G20.
Look, it's working out for Russia already. They already, closing out deals with India now because Trump is closing out deals with Europe. Look at this.
Asia, Middle East.
It's all working out.
Afghanistan. And I want to say that India's approach.
You get a deal. You get a deal. You get a deal.
And diplomacy as essential to resolving differences. On terrorism, we resolved to fight jointly against all forms and manifestations of terrorism. I conveyed India's strong resolve to adopt a zero-tolerance policy against terrorism and our sovereign right to defend our citizens against cross-border terrorism. I also invited the Minister to pay a visit to India to continue our dialogue. In conclusion, let me thank him and his colleagues for an open and productive exchange of views. We look forward to nurturing this relationship further in the very spirit that has underpinned it for decades. Thank you.
See what I'm saying? Now, they say
shifting focus from that to what's transpiring in is nothing but hip-hop.
Well, I don't want to comment on a person, but let me comment on the subject. We are not the biggest.
В целом экономическая база нашего
International
особо
Power,
привилегированном
Casual and
стратегическом
Privileged
партнерстве
Strategic Partnership
укрепляется устойчиво и поступательно, и это лишний раз подчеркивает
developing
особый характер нашего отношения.
All right, you is not doing a good job at translating. You is tripping. I want to hear what they gotta say. Moscow.
Which remains a platform for interaction between all the existing and future centers of power, a platform for cooperation, compromise and seeking agreement, and Russia's support seeking such balanced approaches.
Очень рад вас видеть. Рассчитываю на плодотворные переговоры.
I'm very glad to see you, and I hope for fruitful talks today.
Thank you. Excellency, it's a pleasure to see you again in Moscow to meet up. I thank you for your warm welcome and for your hospitality. We have, of course, been meeting regularly on the sidelines of multilateral events as well, most recently at the BRICS Summit, at the SCO Foreign Ministers Summit. And I think these regular meetings have helped us to be in continuous touch, which is important at a time when international relations is changing so much. Today's meeting gives us an occasion to discuss our political relationship as well, but also to review our bilateral ties. So I look forward to an exchange of views on politics, on trade, on economic investment, defense, science and technology, and of course people-to-people exchanges. Our leaders met in July for the 22nd annual summit last year, and thereafter in Kazan. We now prepare for the annual summit at the end of the year, and they have always given us guidance to take forward our special and privileged strategic partnership. We've had, as you noted, a very productive meeting yesterday with Denis Manturov on the Intergovernmental Commission. I think we discussed a lot of issues in our bilateral cooperation, found a lot of solutions as well. I'd be very happy to share that. But most important, what I want to do today is to take those bilateral discussions forward so that we have the maximum outcomes for the annual summit when that happens. From our side, we've had quite a busy calendar. National Security Advisor Ajit Doval was here. Before that, our Minister of Railways and Information Technology, Ashwini Vaishnav, and the head of our Niti Aayog, Suman Berry, were here for speech. And all these show how close and deep our relationship is. The global context for our meeting today is provided by the evolving geopolitical situation, the shifting economic and trade landscape, and our shared goal is to maximize our complementarity. So today I am very confident that our exchange of views will be very fruitful, will be very productive, and will certainly contribute to making the annual summit as outcome-oriented as possible. Thank you again for your warm welcome.
Is it a warm welcome? Is it? Because it's more so about money. We need to find out what's happening with people, kids, 20,000, kids. Russia is claiming that their orphanage
становится многополярной, и в которой все более возрастающую роль играют такие объединения, как Шанхайская организация сотрудничества, БРИКС, Группа 20.
This is a multipolar system of international relations with an increasing role played by the SCO, BRICS, and the G20.
Ну и, конечно, в рамках Организации Объединенных Наций сохраняется возможность для всех
Y'all tap that screen.
Силы в рамках многополярного.
Y'all keep tapping the screen. They'll keep pushing us out there.
Взаимодействовать между собой, вырабатывать компромиссы, договоренности, которые будут устойчивы.
Come on, y'all don't understand what he's saying no more than I do. You gotta wait for the translation.
And of course, the United Nations, which remains a platform for interaction between all the existing and future centers of power, a platform for cooperation, compromise, and seeking agreement, and Russia's support seeking such balanced approaches.
Очень рад вас видеть. Рассчитываю на плодотворные переговоры.
Yeah, y'all don't know what the fuck he's saying, like I don't know what the fuck he's saying. Tap the screen. Tap the screen while we wait.
Excellency, it's a pleasure to.
Oh, cameraman fucking up.
Good to be here. I thank you for the warm welcome and for your hospitality.
Hold on.
We have, of course, been meeting.
You better not keep, y'all just gonna keep me playing the same part. You know what? Let me just find. They just trying to show out and have a meeting because, you know, America had a meeting. So they just trying to show out and have a meeting because we had a meeting. You know what I'm saying? That's what they doing. They just trying to have a meeting because we had a meeting. That's all they doing.
Энергетика, включая ядерную, космос, промышленность, транспорт, инфраструктура и многие другие проекты.
They just trying to sit down and have a meeting because we had a meeting. You know what I'm saying? He trying to sit down and have a meeting because we sat down and had a meeting. You know what I'm saying?
На новую высоту наше торгово-экономическое инвестиционное сотрудничество.
They trying to be like us.
Сопредседателем
Turbo.
правительственной комиссии, что в прошлом году двусторонний товарооборот вырос на 15% и установил
Now tell us what he's saying.
рекорд в постсоветской истории отношений между
Is there a translator in the house?
и Нью-Дели. Мы приветствуем прогресс по реализации проекта международного, что нет никакого смысла.
Oh yeah, they ain't translating that right there.
Not the biggest purchases of Russia.
The United States has imposed tariffs of up to 50% on India, and it is even threatened for more.
Hold on, what China's saying?
Only opposite.
Hold on.
Such acts, silence or compromise, only emboldens.
You speak Russian?
China will
Okay, stick around.
India
We need you to stick around.
natural trading system with the World Trade Organization at its core. Honorable Ambassador, Vegetation Farmer, Honorable General, who can now name, Honorable Ambassador, Lian Sabo, Honorable Mr. Manish Chand, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, on the occasion of the 75th anniversary,
China says we are not rivals. Talking to India.
between China and India.
Don't succumb to U.S. press. China tells India we are not rivals.
India relations and explore wise ways for neighboring major countries to get along with each other. First of
All right, so it's working. It's working. Trump is forcing other people to get along. That's what's up. I told you all we had to do was lead by example. Trump reaching out, you know, with the hand of peace is forcing everybody else to speak on peace. This is perfect.
Just hope that this forum will be a great success. Since the Kazan
He's forcing everybody else to show that they want peace. This is beautiful.
Relations have continued to improve and develop, and exchanges and cooperation between the two sides have gradually resumed in various fields and at all levels, with a series of positive results achieved. China has resumed the visits of Indian pilgrims to the sacred mountain and lake in Xizang of China, and India has resumed issuing tourist visas to Chinese citizens. In the first half of this year, bilateral trade reached $74.3 billion, with a year-on-year increase of 10.2%. Not so long ago, Indian National Security Advisor Ajit Doval and Defense Minister
You got a point there. He is strengthening the BRIC currency. I mean, we're moving to a more digital form of currency anyway, right?
Participated in the Shanghai Foreign Ministers meeting. Just yesterday, the member of the Political Bureau of the CPC Central Committee, Minister of Foreign Affairs of China.
Yeah, y'all all better act like y'all at peace with each other now. Everybody better act like they happy.
Indian Prime
That three-eyed atlas gonna be here in October. They all better act like they happy.
Talks between the special representatives of China and India on the boundary question with Mr. Dovo, and he held a talk with Dr. Jasenko. The two sides have reached important consensus.
Yeah, but for the aliens is coming. Everybody better act like they at peace. You know what I'm saying?
And
Shit.
cooperation between the two countries on international and regional issues. In coming days,
He making them put their he making them come out in public that they are, you know, strengthening their alliance. You're right. Everybody's got to strengthen their alliance. So yeah, this is a good outcome, I think.
India relations. Dear friends, the world today is experiencing a turbulent period. Transformations of
That mean propaganda is winning out. That's why they're saying don't succumb to U.S. press, right? That means our press is shaping this world. So all we got to do is change our press to a more positive outlook, and then they'll mimic that of positivity. All we got to do is change what our press look like. You know what I mean? Because they all worried about what our press look like. They all worried about what the American people image of these continents are. So if we chose to be positive, then, you know what I mean? They got to reflect that positive or stand to look like idiots, right? So if we choose positivity, they got to reflect that positivity, or they stand to look like monsters or tyrants. And nobody wants to look like tyrants. I don't give a fuck how many tyrant games they play. None of them want to look like tyrants. So all we got to do is use that same fake it till you make it method and use it for positivity. America, just be positive. And they gonna try to be positive because we being positive. Like I always said, just be positive. And they're gonna mimic that. Thank you, Trump, for proving me right. Appreciate you, Trump. Trump came out and said peace, and everybody else want to come out and say we trying to be peaceful too. We solving wars too. We stop fighting too. Yeah. Trump say peace. Now everybody want to be like we peaceful too. That's all you gotta do, Trump. Keep playing golf and telling people to be at peace. I bet you these motherfuckers calm down. Everybody got their finger over the nuke button. Just keep being at peace, and we gonna win. We already winning. One's in the chat if you understand. One's in the chat if you understand. All we gotta do is be the reflection that we want to see. Be peace. They're gonna have to give it to us. They're gonna have to follow that same image. Just be peace. I'm sorry to talk over him. He ain't really saying nothing. Y'all know why we don't pay attention to the news, because a lot of it is just a bunch of talk that we don't know about. It's just a bunch of shit. You know what I'm saying? But they just trying to strengthen their ties with each other now through trades and stuff. We have opened back up the trading. We're giving them their people back. We're allowing refugees. Yeah. We get it. Now be at peace. Yeah, shout out to Trump. I like this new peace shit. I like this. Trump for peace. Yes. Hercules. Trump for peace. And we need more of it. Yes. This is something I can get behind. This fuck around and sway a lot of Democrats to be Trump. You know what I'm saying? If Trump can pull peace off in a couple of places, I got to give it to you. You know what I'm saying? You good with me. They know damn well they just want to advance technology. That's it. Just tell us the truth. Just tell us the truth.
Es muy grande la causa que defendemos. Así que el cambio de régimen,
What do you say?
además de ilegal, es inmoral.
What do you say?
Y aquí
What?
no lograrán ni colonizar, ni esclavizar, ni a Venezuela, ni América del Sur.
Oh shit, he sound
Y
mad.
si algún día tocan a Venezuela, toda la América se levantará por nosotros, por el pueblo de Bolívar.
Oh shit. Oh, is this what's going down in Venezuela? Oh shit. Oh shit.
Compañeros, compañeras, presidentes, cancilleres, primeros ministros.
Hold on, Trump. Don't sell our defense system too motherfucking much. We might need them shits. Oh shit. Don't try to get rid of our defense system too much, Trump. Look like we might need them shit. What the fuck is Venezuela doing up in arms and shit? You right there in South America. What the fuck is y'all doing, Venezuela? Don't you bring your asses over here with that bullshit.
The United States has ordered naval movements in international waters off Venezuela and the Caribbean with the deployment of 3 U.S. Navy destroyers and up to 4,000 military personnel that could arrive imminently off Venezuela's territorial waters to counter narcotics movements, while it appears the White House has President Maduro firmly in its sights.
With respect to Venezuela, President Trump has been very clear and consistent. He's prepared to use every element of American power to stop drugs from flooding into our country and to bring those responsible to justice. The Maduro regime is not the legitimate government of Venezuela. It is a narco-terror cartel. In Maduro, it is the view of this administration, is not a legitimate president. He is a fugitive head of this cartel who has been indicted in the United States for trafficking drugs into the country.
Damn.
Announced the winner
Trump
of
want
the
that cocaine.
presidential election, despite a widely held view that opposition candidate Edmundo
He going after that
won the
motherfucking
election.
opioids.
The Nations panel of experts
I mean opium.
found that the election fell short of the basic transparency and integrity measures that were essential to holding credible elections, and that the National Electoral Council did not publish any results to support its oral arguments that Maduro had won. U.S. authorities have since seized $700 million in assets it says are associated with Maduro.
We using drug money.
For information leading to his arrest.
We going after UGG money.
The Department of Justice and State Department are announcing a historic $50 million reward for information leading to the arrest of Nicolas Maduro.
Oh
Maduro
my God.
uses foreign terrorist organizations like TDA,
This
Sinaloa,
the
and
shit we
Cartel
missing
to
out
bring
on.
deadly drugs and violence into our country. To date, the
We
DEA
gotta pay
has seized 30
attention.
tons of cocaine linked to Maduro and his associates, with nearly 7 tons linked to Maduro himself, which represents a primary source of income for the deadly cartels based in Venezuela and Mexico.
We're running
Cocaine
out
is
of
often
drugs.
used for fentanyl, resulting in the loss and destruction of countless American lives.
We on your ass, Venezuela.
$700 million of Maduro-linked assets, including 2 private jets.
See, this is why we gotta focus, people. This is why we gotta focus on the right shit. This is why we gotta pay attention to the right shit, right? Let's put them at peace. So y'all say Trump is a bad person, but Trump is focusing on what's actually hitting America, right? This is the stuff that they don't talk about. This is the stuff they not pointing out, right? A lot of people want to keep the UGGs coming in because they benefiting from the UGGs or they on them, right? So Trump is actually going after, the supplies that are coming in, so on and so forth, right? Open up the door for marijuana, but let's get all this other stuff out there, right? Fentanyl, all this other stuff, right? Now, we can get into the Epstein files. I get it. Y'all want to always bring up the Epstein files. But you can't take away from the positive that he's doing. You can't take away from the push, right? He's got China reinforcing their alliance with India. He's got India reinforcing their alliance with, Russia, right? He's got Russia sitting down at the table with Ukraine, right? Which could possibly open up the door for peace in the Iraq situation, right? Because if Russia say, hey, listen, unless y'all sit down at peace, we're going to take away, our support. And America is doing the same thing. They agree to take away their support, right? So if Russia follows suit of what America is doing and using the support that they give these other countries as a means to settle, right? Russia and America become two superheads. If I'm looking at this right. Because through the strength of whatever Trump got going on with Putin, right, it's going to strengthen American allies and ties with Europe and other nations, countries, and it's going to strengthen whatever Putin got going on, right? Because Putin always said that he's willing to sit down at the table with anyone who's willing to, go through the dialogue of things, right? But you got to be able to understand what Russians are going through or what's happening in Russia with the Russian people and everything, right? Their country might not be as great as people are showing it to be, right? They might be going through some economic struggles, right? Their reserves might not be as full. Their oil might not be coming in. They might need these refineries in order to keep their, machine running, right? We don't know the details of what runs Russia and how Russia is ran. We don't know that. We're so scared to open up trades with all of these people in fear of giving them too much money. You know what I mean? When did Putin say he would sit down? All right, catch up now.
Vehicles and more.
Catch up.
Yet Maduro's reign of terror
continues.
He is one of the largest narco traffickers in the world and a threat to our national security. Therefore, we've doubled his reward to $50 million. Under President Trump's leadership, Maduro will not escape justice and he will be held accountable for his despicable crimes.
President Maduro announced on Monday that he was deploying some 4.5 million militia throughout the country in response to new U.S. threats. Militia, he said, were prepared, activated and armed, while the country's defense minister slammed the U.S. reward linked to Maduro's arrest.
Ilegales y desesperadas.
These fanciful, illegal, and desperate offers in the best style of a Hollywood Western represent yet another act of internal interference in the nation that flagrantly violates international law and the principles of self-determination of peoples. Those same immoral people are trying to say here that our commander-in-chief is a drug trafficker, that the Minister of Defense is a drug trafficker. It is disrespectful to the people of Venezuela.
14 current and former Venezuelan officials were in March 2020 charged by the U.S. government in relation to narco-terrorism, corruption and drug trafficking, a rare U.S. action against a foreign head of state. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said in a statement earlier this month that Maduro had been leader of the Cartel de los Soles for over a decade, a group Rubio says was responsible for trafficking drugs to the United States. Sheldon Bryce-Pease, SABC News, New York.
Well, damn. Look like it's all shit.
This week, I am going to launch a special plan to ensure coverage with more than 4,500,000 militiamen mobilized across the entire national territory.
Make sure y'all go back and clip this part of the live talking about this part of Venezuela. Make sure y'all go back and we get some videos out there of this part.
The territorial militias are activated. This week, I am going to launch a special plan to ensure coverage with more than 4,500,000 militiamen mobilized across the entire national territory. Militias prepared, activated, and armed. Shared economic development, prosperity. The other key element. The primary and overarching focus of the entire peace plan is to strategically deploy all available militia capacity throughout the entire territory and meticulously by sectors, thereby firmly establishing and solidifying the comprehensive capacity of the Bolivarian National Militia in all regions and territories of the country, ensuring a robust and pervasive presence. Long live Bolivar! Until victory always. We will win. May God bless our beloved homeland. Thank you so much.
Is it going down like that? Damn. So we fighting wars all over the place, really.
Justice and State Department are announcing a historic $50 million reward for information leading to the arrest of Nicholas.
It will be mainly that Ukraine an agreement, a treaty first, then.
Which is again those 24 promises to the American people. All right, so we see there at the bottom of the screen, awaiting J.D. Vance to deliver remarks in Georgia. So when that happens, we'll be going to Robert McWillie, probably prior to that speech. We'll be hearing from Robert, he's live in Peachtree City, which is south of Atlanta. Speaking of Georgia, let's do this. Let's have a little bit of fun. Let's do a Throwback Thursday, highlighting a great moment at a various Trump rally. This was a Trump rally in Atlanta, Georgia. Now, it's a very simple moment, but when you have a number of people in the arena together towards the end of the national anthem, and just everybody.
In fact, we had very good conversation with President Trump. Very good. And it really was the best one, maybe the best one will be in the future.
I gotta show that map.
We begin in 1991, the year of the fall of the USSR. The former socialist republics declare their independence, including Ukraine, where, during a referendum, 92.26% of voters are in favor of independence. The following years, numerous agreements are signed.
Absolutely, appreciate you for being here.
In the states of the former USSR. In 1994, Ukraine, Belarus.
Oh, they got that sound playing in the background. I think that sound might get us clipped, so we gotta find something without sound.
This video is made possible approaches the Ural Mountains. As the open plain.
They also got sound in the background.
Was at least his arrest by the.
Bear with me while I find one without sound. Bear with me. Don't leave.
Mountains in the east.
Don't leave. Share the live.
Is Ukraine really on the verge of peace? But this is the opening issue.
Oh, he don't got no sound, but he talking too much.
Warning has kept us similarly reported. Some headaches.
All right, he's talking. He don't got nothing. Yo, share the live. Share the live. We got to gain in numbers. Share the live. Share the live. We got to gain numbers. We trying to find the map so we can see what is this all about. It's got to be about this map.
Kiev, and Ukraine. The Swedish in origin, they found their way to the Byzantine Empire and even attacked Persia from the Caspian Sea in the 10th century. Of the Kievan.
Okay, we might be able to listen to this.
Ships, merging with Slavic Balkanism.
Wait, where's the lines at?
It's also a play at the beginning of 2022.
Yeah.
were two of the signatories to the founding document of the USSR. With its wide, sweeping, fertile plains, it would become known as the breadbasket of the Soviet Union, providing grain and food that made it an invaluable part of the USSR. That fact only made what happened next all the more shocking. The Holodomor was a state-sponsored famine created by Stalin's government in the Ukraine as an act of genocide. Crops were seized and sold to overseas markets to fund Stalin's plans. Animals, including pets, were removed. Soviet soldiers ensured whatever remained was kept from the population, resulting in the deliberate starvation and deaths of up to 4 million Ukrainians. During the Second World War, Germany invaded Ukraine, moving across the border on the 22nd of June 1941 and completing their takeover by November. 4 million Ukrainians were evacuated east. The Nazis encouraged collaboration by appearing to back an independent Ukrainian state, only to renege on that promise once in control. Between 1941 and 1944, around 1.5 million Jews living in Ukraine were killed by Nazi forces. After the USSR was victorious at the Battle of Stalingrad in early 1943, the counter-offensive moved across Ukraine, retaking Kiev in November that year.
We're just trying to stay informed, TikTok. We're just trying to stay informed. We need to stay informed. We need to get pulled up all the way, get a grand understanding of what all of this entails, what's really going on. So, you know, lock in, share the live, and tap the screen.
The famine in 1946-7 claimed around 1 million more lives.
And if you want to support, the Cash App is in the bio.
In 1954, the USSR transferred control of Crimea to Soviet Ukraine. There was perhaps a feeling that with the USSR strong, it made little difference which Soviet state administered the territory, but the move stored up problems for a future in which the Soviet Union no longer existed. On the 26th of April 1986, the Chernobyl nuclear disaster took place in Ukraine. During a test procedure on reactor number 4, a power decrease made the reactor unstable. The core went into meltdown, the subsequent explosion destroying the building. Chernobyl remains one of only 2 nuclear disasters to be rated at the highest level, alongside the 2011 Fukushima disaster. The explosion at Chernobyl caused ongoing health issues for the surrounding area, and the Chernobyl exclusion zone covered more than 2,500 square kilometres. Chernobyl has been pointed to as one of the contributing causes of the collapse of the USSR. It shook faith in the Soviet government, and Mikhail Gorbachev, the last Secretary General of the Soviet Union, said it was a turning point that opened the possibility of much greater freedom of expression, to the point that the system as we knew it could no longer continue. Five years later, in 1991, the Soviet Union collapsed. Ukraine was one of the signatories of the document disbanding the Union, which meant that it was, at least on the surface, being recognised as an independent state. In the same year, a referendum and election were held. The referendum question was, do you support an act of declaration of independence of Ukraine? Over 84% of the population took part, almost 32 million people, voting 92.3% in favour of an independent Ukraine. In the presidential election, 6 candidates ran, all backing the Yes campaign, and Leonid Kravchuk was elected the first president of Ukraine. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, Ukraine became the 3rd largest holder of nuclear weapons in the world. Although it possessed the warheads and the capacity to make more, the software that controlled them was in Russian hands. Russia and Western states agreed to recognise and respect Ukraine's independent, sovereign status in return for handing most of its nuclear capacity over to Russia. In 1994, the Budapest Memorandum on Security Assurances provided for the destruction of the remaining warheads. In 2004, the Orange Revolution took place amid protests about a corrupt presidential election. Protests in Kiev and general strikes across the country eventually saw the election result overturned, and Viktor Yanukovych was replaced by Viktor Yushchenko. The Kiev Appellate Court gave a decision on the 13th of January 2010 that posthumously convicted Stalin, Ganovich, Molotov, and Ukrainian leaders Kozyr and Chubar, as well as others, of genocide against the Ukrainian people during the Holodomor of the 1930s. The decision served to reinforce a sense of Ukrainian identity and distance the country further from Russia. 2014 saw a great deal of unrest in Ukraine. The Revolution of Dignity, also known as the Maidan Revolution, erupted as a result of President Yanukovych's refusal to sign a document that would create a political association and free trade agreement with the EU. 130 people were killed, including 18 police officers, and the revolution led to early presidential elections. In the same year, a pro-Russian uprising in eastern Ukraine, which Russia is suspected of sponsoring and which has been termed as an invasion, saw fighting begin in the Donbass region, which continues at present. The move served to solidify the sense of Ukrainian national identity and independence from Moscow. Also in 2014, Russia annexed Crimea, which had been part of Ukraine since 1954. The reasons for this are complex. Crimea remains militarily and strategically important, with ports on the Black Sea. It's also a place regarded with fondness dating back to the Soviet era, when it was a holiday destination. Today, Russia remains in control of Crimea, but that control is not recognised by the international community. Ukraine remains in a state of unrest that dates back to 2014. It was exacerbated in 2019 by a change to the constitution of Ukraine that enshrined closer links with both NATO and the EU. This step confirmed Russian fears about the influence of the US and Western European states on its borders, increasing tensions in the region. On the 1st of July 2021, the law was changed in Ukraine to allow the sale of farmland for the first time in 20 years. The original ban had been put in place to prevent the same sort of takeover by an oligarchy that Russia had seen in the wake of the collapse of the Soviet Union. For Ukraine and Ukrainians, it created a huge opportunity to fill a gap in global food supply chains caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. At the beginning of 2022, Ukraine was the biggest exporter of sunflower oil in the world, the fourth largest shipper of corn, delivering grain to countries from Morocco to Bangladesh and Indonesia. Corn yields were a third lower than the US and a quarter below EU levels, leaving room for improvement. Rich Gulf states were showing particular interest in supplies of food from Ukraine. All of this meant that the former breadbasket of the Soviet Union saw its stock rise sharply, bringing with it unwelcome consequences. The relationship between Russia and Ukraine has always been complex and rooted in an often shared history. Russia has long viewed Ukraine as a Russian province rather than a sovereign state. To counterbalance this perceived attack on its independence, Ukraine has sought closer ties with the West, both with NATO and the EU, which Russia in turn viewed as a threat to its own security. Beyond a shared heritage, a sentimental connection to the Rus states that once centred on Kyiv, Ukraine remains important to Russia. It's been a buffer between Russia and Western states, and fears that it will join NATO and the EU are perceived as a threat to Russia. As a country with an economy based on food production, it remains economically as well as strategically important. Russia's concerns about who is in control of Ukraine often leave little room in its thinking for an independent, sovereign state. To some extent, Ukraine in 2022 became to Russia what Cuba was to the US in the 1960s. The Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962 saw global nuclear war narrowly averted. A sustainable, long-term solution to the relationship between Ukraine and Russia that all parties can live with may be hard to find, but it's required to avoid a repeat of the worst aspects of 20th century history.
Dang. So now you see what's at stake, right? You see what the whole thing is and why they are fighting, the history of it, the map, right? These are bigger places than what you think.
Years ago, when Ukraine did not even exist, at least not as an independent sovereign state. In the 9th century, the Kievan Rus state, often known as the Rus state, was formed by the Vikings with Kiev as the capital. The Rus are claimed to be the cultural ancestors of Ukraine, and also Belarus and Russia. The Kievan Rus reached its peak under the reign of Vladimir the Great and his son Yaroslav the Wise. In 988, Vladimir introduced Christianity from the Orthodox Christian Byzantine Empire to the state. From the 10th to 11th century, Kievan Rus became the largest and most powerful state in Europe. In 1132, following the death of Kiev's Grand Prince Mstislav Vladimirovich, the state was disintegrated into separate principalities. In the 13th century, the Kievan Rus was invaded by the Mongols, who then established Golden Horde, with the Rus' principalities as their vassals. In 1441, the Crimean Khanate was formed on the Crimean Peninsula as the successor state of the Golden Horde. This period also marked the rise of the Grand Duchy of Moscow, eventually becoming the heart of what is now Russia. During the 14th and 15th centuries, the Kievan Rus state was divided and ruled by the Golden Horde, the Crimean Khanate, and the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. The Cossacks. The Cossacks, the most important piece of Ukraine's identity, became particularly strong in the 17th century. During the Cossacks' 1648 rebellion led by Hetman Bohdan Khmelnytsky against the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, a state called the Cossack Hetmanate was formed, becoming the first independent Ukrainian state in over 300 years. The period from 1659 to 1686 was called the Ruin, a devastating war between Russia, Poland, the Crimean Khanate, the Ottoman Empire, and Cossacks for the control of the Cossack Hetmanate. After the Treaty of Perpetual Peace in 1686, Left Bank Ukraine and the Right Bank city of Kiev were occupied by Russia, while Poland ceded Right Bank Ukraine. In 1783, Russia conquered the Crimean Khanate under the order of Catherine the Great. Following the partitions of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth in 1795, most of modern-day central Ukraine was incorporated into the Russian Empire, while the western part was split between Russia and Habsburg-ruled Austria. Ukraine under the Soviet Union. In the wake of the Russian Revolution in 1917, the Ukrainian People's Republic, UPR, was proclaimed but only existed till 1920. In late 1922, following the Russian Civil War, 4 Soviet republics, Ukraine, Belarus, Russia, and Transcaucasia formed the Soviet Union, or USSR. Ukraine was the most populous and industrialized Soviet republic from 1922 to 1991 after Russia. From 1930 to 1933, a man-made devastating famine known as Holodomor occurred in several parts of the Joseph Stalin-led Soviet Union, resulting in the death of 6 to 8 million people, of whom 4 to 5 million were Ukrainians. In 1934, the capital city of Ukraine was relocated from Kharkov to Kiev. In 1939, as part of a non-aggression with Nazi Germany, the Soviet Union invaded and annexed the eastern regions of Poland, expanding the Ukrainian SSR's territory to the west. After the break of World War II, Ukraine was occupied by the Axis armies from 1941 to 1944. During the war, Ukraine, led by the Ukrainian Insurgent Army, fought for its independence against the Soviet Union, the Polish underground state, Communist Poland, and Nazi Germany. In 1953, after the death of Stalin, Nikita Khrushchev succeeded as the first secretary of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union, paving the way for a Ukrainian revival. In 1954, the Crimea Peninsula's government was transferred from the Soviet Union to the Ukraine SSR, expanding the territory to the south. In 1991, with the dissolution of the Soviet Union, Ukraine regained independence. Modern-day Ukraine. In June 1996, under the second president, Leonid Kuchma, a new Ukrainian constitution was adopted, turning Ukraine into a semi-presidential republic. Starting in 2013, since the fourth president, Viktor Yanukovych, chose closer ties with the Russian Federation, a wave of large-scale protests known as the Euromaidan erupted across Ukraine. In 2014, following the Ukrainian Revolution of Dignity, war broke out between Russia and Ukraine, leading to the annexation of Crimea by Russia, and the creation of self-proclaimed breakaway states in Donetsk and Luhansk. On February 24, 2022, Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine, escalating the ongoing Russo-Ukrainian war. The war is currently in the second strategic phase, which occurred in three provinces of eastern Ukraine, Donetsk and Luhansk and Kharkiv Oblast.
Thanks for watching. If you find this information useful, please give us a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more videos.
You trying to get me? All right, so that's just trying to keep up with the Ukraine thing, right? Trying to give you an understanding of the history of what's going on over there and everything like that, right? You know, if you understand, you understand. It's just trying to help bring the full understanding of what's going on in the world to the front page, right? Because we can speculate all we want, but they know what's going on over there. They know what's happening with crops and so on and so forth, right? So it's just bringing awareness to all of this, right? These particular areas, why is it so split? When you're looking at these particular areas, why is the map so split? What's really taking place? The fights, the battles, you know, so on and so forth. Why do you have these other leaders that's involved? What's actually, you know, what's actually at stake here? You know, you got, you know, Berlin, so on and so forth. Yes, we are strengthening trades with them and all types of stuff like that. Yes, that's happening. But also a lot of other stuff is taking place right now too with all of this, you know. So we gotta be mindful of what this is about. It's crops, it's population, it's growth, right? When talking about the growth of their people, you know, developing, growth and development. Right? So we have to, you know, look at what's at stake when talking about all and everything that's on the table. Yes, there's a lot of money at stake. You know, yes, there's a lot of, you know, people that are, you know, in the mindset of whatever's going on. Right? All right. So, there's a lot of different things that's happening right now around this whole thing. You know, there's some bombings that's going on.
As you know, in a few days, the NATO summit will take place, and one of the topics they will discuss is that Europe is thinking about rearmament. and plans to spend more on military spending.
See? Everything's about trade. Everything's about something. You know, who, you know.
Anything in the U.S. arsenal. The first international test happened this month in Australia. The missile is said to have hit a target nearly 200 miles away. Officials are saying that future versions could travel more than 300 miles. But that's not all. This new missile reportedly moves at 4,000 kilometers per hour, faster than anything China can currently intercept. And there's more. It reportedly dodges jamming technology, which makes it harder to stop, and each launcher holds 2 precision strike missiles, unlike the older ATACMS system, which basically fired just 1. That means more missiles, more targets, more firepower. And these are the same mobile systems, the same ones that Ukraine has been given to defend itself against the Russian forces. And now they are part of the U.S. game plan in the Pacific. Taiwan already has 11 HIMARS units, more are expected in 2026. And if paired with this precision strike missile, analysts are saying that they could take out Chinese warships before they even reach Taiwan's shores, or even while they are still docked. And that makes it a game changer. Remember, China has increased its military activity around Taiwan. It is flying its fighter jets across the median line, sending warships close to its coast. But so far, there has been no direct strike. The Chinese president, meanwhile, has made his intention clear. He has said that a so-called reunification is inevitable. He sees Taiwan as part of Chinese territory. As a result, there are very real feelers in Taiwan that a Chinese invasion of the self-ruled democratic island is on the cards. And now, with this US missile, the cost of that invasion just went up in a way. According to reports, the precision strike missile dramatically increases the risk for a Chinese fleet. But the US is not going at it alone. Australia has also joined the missile program, signing a $310 million deal with Washington, basically to reportedly co-develop the technology and run joint tests. Australia's defense industry minister has been quoted as saying that all this is about extending deterrence in the Indo-Pacific and signaling that pain can be inflicted. But then here's the thing, China is innovating as well. And according to reports, China is building amphibious barges, believed to be for moving tanks and troops past beaches not suited for landings. And what's the goal? Multiple fronts and faster seizure, basically. And this is why experts in the US are saying that their time is running out. And for America, if Taiwan falls.
So what we're looking at is basically America saying they're showing missiles. There's missiles involved. I'm telling you, like, we must have developed something new that got a lot of people shook, because a lot of people are trying to, our defense team must have either got some new information. Maybe this 3-Eye Atlas provided some type of, military security for America or something. Maybe these alien technologies that's coming in, maybe they dropped something off here already that our military knows about or something, because a lot of people are shooken up by, our defenses. I don't know what new defense system we have, a missile that can reach or whatever, but they're shooken up by it, right? A lot of people are shooken up by this, right? So once again, we are going to keep you informed as much as possible, right? I'm going to go over on my TikTok page and grow over there with, the TikTok so on and so forth. I hope you guys got your notifications on. We will be doing a live tonight. We have to get more scheduled with these lives, so we will be working on building and growing and so on and so forth. Glad to have you here. Glad everybody was here. We'd love to get more people in here to tap the screen, but hey, we are circulating, so that's a good thing. And we are going to try to keep people informed on this as much as possible until the end results of this, and then we'll carry on to the next big topic. Love is love. Namaste, Ashe, salutation, shalom, and peace. Atlas family, if you would join me in the Discord. Those who know who they are know who they are. See you in the Energy Center. Love is love. And if you haven't heard that somebody loved you today, let me be the first, not the last, to say that I love you. This is the second live for today. We will be doing another one later on. But I do have to go grow over there on TikTok, because that's where the revenue is coming in from for whatever little that it is. That pays out on the 15th. Once we get monetized over here, hopefully we can do great things over here and continue to grow over here. All right? In the meantime, in between time, remember, one's image of oneself should be greater than reality. If you're not thinking highly of yourself, then reality is not going to think highly of you. All right? Love is love.